Disney's Mulan. Long ago, in a small Chinese village, there lived a girl named Mulan. One day, Mulan heard the sound of drums outside. It was a message sent by the emperor himself. "The Huns have invaded China," the messenger said. "One man from each family must serve in the imperial army." Mulan's father said he would fight. "Father, you can't go," Mulan cried. She knew that he had been badly injured in the last war. He would not survive another battle. But Mulan's father was the only man in their family. There was no one else to take his place. Mulan could not stand to see her father get hurt. She decided to fight in his place. To do so, she would have to pretend to be a man. That night, Mulan cut her hair. Then she put on her father's armor and rode off to join the army. When Mulan reached the army camp, she reported to Captain Shang. It was Shang's job to train the new recruits to be good soldiers. "What's your name?" Shang asked. Mulan could not give him her real name. "Ping," she said. "My name is Ping." Mulan worked hard, but training with Shang was not easy. None of the new soldiers knew how to fight. Every time Shang tried to teach them something, they got it wrong. Soon, Mulan made friends with 3 other soldiers, Ling, Yao, and Po. One day, Shang shot an arrow into the top of a pole. Then he brought out 2 weights. "This," he said, pointing to one of the weights, "represents discipline." Then he pointed to the other weight. "And this represents strength. You need both to reach the arrow." Shang asked the soldiers to climb the pole carrying the 2 heavy weights and bring back the arrow. Whoa. Mulan knew that this was her chance to prove herself. She thought long and hard about how to reach the arrow. At last, she figured out a way to loop the weights together. It was much easier to climb that way. When she reached the top of the pole, everyone cheered. Even Shang looked impressed. Mulan and the other soldiers practiced every day. Finally, they were good enough to join the rest of the army. But as they traveled to meet the other troops, the Huns attacked them. As Mulan looked up at the snowy mountain peak, she had an idea. Mulan fired a cannon into the mountain, shaking the snow loose. An avalanche thundered down and swept the enemy away. The Huns were defeated. Fire! Suddenly, Mulan realized that the snow was heading right for Shang. Quickly, she jumped on her horse and raced to save him. Mulan managed to pull Shang from the swirling snow, but she was badly injured. When Shang saw her wound, he sent Mulan to a doctor. The doctor treated Mulan's injuries, but he also discovered her secret. She was a girl. Lying to the army was a crime, punishable by death. Shang was furious, but he could not kill Mulan. "A life for a life," he said. "My debt is repaid." Shang and his army marched off towards the imperial city to tell the emperor of their victory. Mulan was left behind. When the others had left, Mulan started to head home. Suddenly, she saw the Han leader, Shan Yu, pass by. He was leading his men toward the imperial city. Mulan knew she had to warn Shang. She raced after the army. When Mulan reached the city, everyone was celebrating. Mulan rode up beside Shang. "The Huns are alive. They're in the city," she told him. "You have to believe me." "Why should I?" Shang replied. He was still hurt that Mulan had lied to him. Later that night, the emperor spoke to the crowd of happy people. "China will sleep safely tonight, thanks to our brave warriors." But as the crowd cheered, Shan Yu appeared on a nearby rooftop. The Han leader swooped down and captured the emperor. He carried him inside the palace and locked the door. Shang and his soldiers tried to break down the door and save the emperor. "They'll never reach the emperor in time," Mulan said to herself. She had a plan. Quickly, she found her friends Ling, Yao, and Po. She dressed them up in women's clothes so that they could fool the Han's guards. Together, they knocked out the guards and slipped into the palace. On a palace balcony, Shan Yu waved his sword at the emperor. "Bow to me," he demanded. At Mulan's signal, the rescuers stormed into the room. Ling, Yao, and Po grabbed the emperor and carried him to safety. Mulan and Shang stayed behind to fight Shan Yu. He was a fierce warrior, but Mulan defeated him. Mulan had hoped the emperor would not be angry that she had fought alongside the men. When she found him, he was not angry at all. Instead, he honored Mulan by giving her his personal pendant. "Take this," he said, "so your family will know what you have done for me." Then he handed Mulan Shan Yu's sword. "And take this," the emperor said, "so the world will know what you have done for China." Mulan was ready to return home, but first she hoped to make up with Shang. She turned to him, but the only thing he said was, "You fight good." "Oh, thank you," she replied, disappointed. As Mulan rode away, the emperor turned to Shang. "You don't meet a girl like that every dynasty," the emperor said. Shang knew he had to follow Mulan and apologize. At home, Mulan gave her father the sword of Shan Yu and the crest of the emperor. They're gifts to honor the Fa family. "The greatest gift and honor," he replied, "is having you for a daughter." As they celebrated, Shang arrived and tried to apologize. "Would you like to stay for dinner?" Mulan asked him. "Dinner would be great," Shang agreed. The family walked inside, together again at last. The end.